Breaking: Trump threatens Iran's infrastructure as explosions hit major gas facilities. Back to President Trump's threats that he has repeated now to target Iranian energy and transport infrastructure if Tehran doesn't open the Strait of Hormuz. This is what Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, and we have blanked out a swear word. He said Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the, and this is where President Trump uses an expletive, straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. Well, on a lengthy post in X, former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was a prominent figure associated with the MAGA movement, is just one of the people to respond. She wrote, "Everyone in his administration that claims to be a Christian needs to fall on their knees and beg forgiveness from God. I know all of you and him, and he has gone insane.
All of you are complicit. Trump threatened to bomb power plants and bridges, hurts the Iranian people, the very people that Trump claims that he was freeing." There's been some trolling of the president as well from Iranian embassies around the world, reacting to that post. Have a look at what some of them have been saying. This is the embassy in South Africa who said, "Seriously, think about the 25th Amendment, Section 4. That's a reference to the constitutional provision which allows for the vice president and the majority of cabinet to declare the president unfit for office, and that puts the VP in charge." The Iranian embassy in Austria said, "POTUS has stooped to an unprecedented level of begging, laced with bitter, hollow rudeness and threats. The desperation is almost palpable, dripping from every syllable. Take it easy, Tiger, keep your cool," wrote the Iran embassy in Bulgaria.
And in the UK, the Iranian embassy, quoting the proverb, "It's better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you're a fool than to open it and remove all doubt." And finally, in India, the Iran embassy saying, "Swearing and throwing insults are how sore loser brats behave. Get a grip on yourself, old man." Let's speak to Liz Goodwin, Congress reporter at Washington Post. Liz, I'm not sure if you heard all of those bits of trolling from Iran and embassies right around the world, and I did bring our viewers that one comment that we've had from Marjorie Taylor Greene, but give us a more broader sense of what reaction there's been to that Truth Social post.
A lot of the reaction you're seeing among Republican lawmakers is still happening in private. There is a feeling that, contradicting the president during wartime is not a good look. A lot of Republican lawmakers and Democratic lawmakers really don't like Iran, don't want to be seen as defending Iran even in this moment. But I think the questions around Trump's strategy, the way he's handling this conflict, especially as gas prices continue to rise, are peeking out to the surface more from, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's now out of Congress.
She's free to say these things openly, but you're seeing some more lawmakers question this. So we had Senator John Curtis say earlier this week that he thinks Congress would need to vote to authorize this war if it keeps dragging on. Initially, Trump said this would be a matter of weeks, 4 weeks maybe. Now, we're well past that date. And then you also have another moderate Congressman, Mike Lawler, who was saying that he also believes Congress needs to act, take back some of its authority now, even though he's not criticizing directly the actual war at this point. Liz, did the president get a bit of a bump, though, after the successful rescue of these airmen who were downed in Iran? I think the rescue of these airmen is sort of a unifying moment in the war, one of the few ones, just because, everyone is relieved and happy that that person was rescued, did not become a hostage that could further, make this situation even more volatile. And I think people were a little baffled that the president sort of stepped on that moment with this message that you read, which was so sort of profane. It sounded very, maybe even a little bit like desperate, a little bit unbecoming of the way a president should sound. And I think people are confused why he did that during that moment. What's happening with gas prices, Liz, and how is that affecting how people feel about the conflict? So gas prices have topped nationally $4 a gallon. They've gone up nearly 40% since the conflict started. Diesel, which a lot of big trucks use, has gone up even more, almost 50% since the conflict started. So that's a real difference that people are feeling in their wallets already.
And then obviously the fear is that could extend to other goods like food and, basic necessities if this keeps dragging on. And I think that's why you're seeing that this war is not super popular here in the US, even though it's in its beginning weeks. Usually there's a big bump, there's a rally around the flag effect, and that just has never happened with this conflict. And in fact, every week it seems to lose people, especially independents and Democrats, who are very strongly against it at this moment. And what are we expecting from President Trump today? There are reports that he's going to give a briefing to the press, but is that just going to be on the successful rescue of these airmen? Well, a nice thing for reporters about President Trump is a press briefing never really stays on one topic. So I think the point of the briefing is to focus on this rescue with Secretary Heisep by his side, but I assume he will address other questions and kind of veer into other topics as he goes. Liz, good to have you with us as always.
Thank you so much, Liz Goodwin, joining us there from the Washington Post. Let's bring you right up to date with what is happening in the Middle East with these new reports that we're getting of some explosions that are hitting Iran's largest gas complex. And we are also getting comment from Israel's Defense Minister, Israel Katz, saying the IDF has been given the go-ahead to hit infrastructure in Iran. We can take you to Daniel DeSimone, who is in Jerusalem for us. Daniel, firstly, what have we been hearing from Israel Katz? So within the last hour, Israel Katz, who's Israel's defense minister, has made a statement saying the IDF has strongly attacked the largest pro-chemical facility in Iran, which is located in the southwest of Iran. That's a region that's released in as the heartland of the petrochemical industry in Iran. He is saying in his statement that it's a key target responsible for about 50% of the country's petrochemical production after a second key facility was attacked last week. In his statement, he says that he and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have given the go-ahead for further attacks on Iranian infrastructure. He says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have instructed the Israel Defense Forces to continue to attack with all force the national infrastructure of the Iranian regime. This focus on infrastructure is also consistent with what we've been hearing from President Trump, with his threats to attract infrastructure. He's talking about attacking electricity infrastructure, civil infrastructure. Last week, Benjamin Netanyahu spoke about also attacks on steel-making production in Iran. And the way that Israel is framing this, they're saying that the petrochemical industry and the steel-making industry are a money-making machine for Tehran. They say they're a part of the machine that builds weapons, that's used to build weapons, missiles that strike Israel. Reports about these attacks on pro-chemical facilities in Iran also being made in Iran. We're seeing that in Iranian media as well. And Daniel, what is the very latest from Haifa with that search operation still underway, that building that's been hit there? Well, there was a strike in Iran in Haifa overnight, an apartment building in Haifa overnight. Search teams looking through the rubble. There were 4 missing people. Initially, they found 2 people who were found to be dead. Later, they recovered 2 further bodies. They described as a couple in their 80s, a man in his 40s, and a woman in her 30s. There were reports that all of those people were killed in a stairwell where they were taking shelter. Throughout Israel, there are daily missile alerts. When there are alerts, people are encouraged to seek shelter. There are bomb shelters, and people in residential complexes often seek shelter in areas of their property which they think are safer. Last night, various missile alerts throughout Israel. This morning, also a missile struck in Tel Aviv. There was a missile alert here last night in Jerusalem as well.